What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Aloha, y'all. Welcome to the show. I am Daniel Aaron, your host. This is the Art of Vibrant Living show, and you are going to get more vibrant. Your life is going to increase. Yes, just from listening and watching, and even better though, take some of the gems that come to you from Sarah today and put them into place in your life. Try them out. You deserve for your life to be a masterpiece. So let's go. Great show. Great guest. I'm so excited. Sarah Lascano is the founder of RayZen Energy. She's an engineer turned energy medicine practitioner, the author of The Hidden Force Within, Practical Tools to Integrate Energy Medicine into Your Health and Healing. And she's into bridging the gap between science and spirituality, bringing medical precision to energetic healing. Through her practice and programs like Elevate, she helps people uncover the root cause of illness and reclaim their innate ability to heal, even from conditions labeled untreatable. Her mission: empower people with simple, powerful mind-body energy tools that make radical healing both possible and practical. I love it. I'm so glad you are with us, Sarah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah, me too. I've been thinking about you and thinking about this, and part of my whole life and my mission in this show is in some ways standing in two worlds. It's a lot of it is standing in the world of, I mean, like, you look behind me and you see there's Ganesha up there, and in the world of spirituality and religion, and but also in the world of entrepreneurship, and and I know that you're into the world of entrepreneurship as well, but you're straddling the worlds of spirituality, energy healing, and the medical world. Like, I love your language of bringing medical precision. Because I don't know, let me just jump in with a little controversy. I have the sense that a lot of the energy medicine world, if we just call it that, whether it's Reiki or whatever type it gets a little airy-fairy, and I think it does itself a disservice sometimes by the way it's spoken about and practiced. Does that make sense?
I happen to agree. I happen to agree. And that's why I'm really excited to bring this healing in a very grounded, practical way. Like somebody with zero spirituality could read my book
Hmm.
and feel that it was approachable. And
Hmm.
that's my goal with all of my healing and all of my teaching is to keep it very grounded and practical because we are here living in the physical realm. We're physical beings. I mean, I know we're spiritual too, but we're here living and we've got to be able to work with physical matter and our bodies.
Well, some would go so far as to say the physical matter and the energy are actually related. Now, I wouldn't go that far. That's just crazy talk. No. Okay. So, joking aside, um, well, so how does it work then? I mean, well, tell us how are you doing that? Bringing the medical precision, making it practical for somebody that doesn't know anything about energy or energy healing.
Well, if you think about our body, we are all energy. That's true. Quantum physics has proven it. And if you think about something as simple as an EKG,
Hmm.
your doctor has been checking that EKG for over 100 years. And that's energy. We're looking at how energy is working in the heart. And that's true of your brain, it's true of your nerves, your nerve conduction studies. And so if we just talk about it as it really is,
Hmm.
I think it can be really, really practical and relatable. It doesn't have to be airy fairy.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it seems so ridiculously obvious because it is. But so why do we have such a stigma? Let me put it this way. 30 years ago, when I had a spiritual awakening, I went from being a hardcore materialist, I didn't believe any of that other stuff out there. I had an awakening, and one of the first things that brought me forward was discovering breath work, right? And transformational breath. And it was so powerful for me. I got into it, I became a practitioner. And my teacher, she used to say, all medicine, all healing is vibrational medicine. And
Mhm.
30 years ago when she said that, I was like, "Oh, don't say that. That just sounds new agey." And now I think of those words and I'm like, well, of course, yeah. I mean, that's obvious. Um, so why do we have such a, I mean, what's your sense? Why do we have such a schism in the world? When you speak about the EKG, it's like, well, yeah, of course we know that. We're doing that. We've been doing that for 100 years. What's our problem?
Um, and by the way, I think it was Einstein who said the medicine of the future will be the medicine of frequencies. So we also have someone really smart from farther back in our Western um, history talking about that fact. But I think we are so reliant on the invention of Western medicine. Western medicine has so many wonderful tools, so much wonderful diagnostics that we have become over reliant on our five senses, paired with kind of some of our cultural heritage, that our intuition is not to be trusted, that it might be evil, it might be misled, it might be dangerous. And when we pair those two things together, a desire to lean on the intellect and a desire to reject the intuition, we come to a place where we only believe what we can measure and we can see. And our technology is just getting to the place where it can measure subtle energy in the body. We
Hmm,
do have
hmm,
technology now that can measure it, but it's relatively new. So
hmm.
I think that's part of the reason is those two facets of our culture and our healthcare system.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. So I grew up in the era of better living through science, right? And that was a period in our history, and of course we've got a lot of great benefits from science. As you spoke about, though, in some way it's perhaps been a major factor in distancing ourselves from our intuition, our bodies, our own awareness. Um, what do you think's possible as we go forward, especially with this era that we're growing into where sensors are, because you spoke about the imaging for subtle energy. I don't know if you said imaging, but being able to detect subtle energy. What do you see going forward? How's this going to work? How do we get the best of both worlds?
Yeah, there's so much research right now out there on how the mind affects the body and the body
Hmm,
affects the mind. There's some amazing research.
hmm,
There's research that shows that depressive episodes instantly affect the microbiome. There's
hmm,
research that shows that cancer and the immune system and cardiovascular disease all improves when stress levels go down. And there's just so much amazing research on the impact. It's mostly limited to meditation, transcendental meditation,
hmm, hmm,
to MBSR. Those are the two that have been so studied.
hmm,
But of course, we know that there's so many other opportunities to improve our energy, calm our nervous system, balance our immune system, because we do that anytime we decrease stress in a system.
hmm.
That's really what we're doing. And so there's this there's this opportunity that we know mind body impacts, and then our western medicine system is stuck on wanting things that are randomly controlled and studied to be able to recommend them. I believe our future lies in equipping our patients who are desperate for answers to feel better with tools that work,
Hmm.
and the practitioners that are open-minded enough to serve them. Our functional medicine practitioners, our integrative practitioners, our alternative and holistic practitioners. There are many practitioners out there who are looking for tools.
Hmm.
So I think we're going to change things by equipping patients and our open-minded practitioners, and that's going to continue to bleed into, if you will, the more mainstream systems. I think we have to start there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. And that, I mean, I feel optimistic as I hear you describe that. So let's
Mhm.
go back again for a moment, though, to helping people. You didn't use these words, but part of the way I heard it, and correct me if this doesn't sound like it makes sense to you, but helping people to get in touch with what's really going on inside themselves, right? Intuition, and being able to heal and treat themselves. Is that part of your approach and part of the way you see what's possible?
Absolutely. So we have the ability to listen to our body. We just don't know it. Most of us don't know it. Most of us have been disconnected from that. And a lot of us have intuition, and we even use it regularly. I call it everyday intuition in my courses and my programs.
Hmm.
We,
Hmm.
we use everyday intuition. If we can just learn to harness that and start tapping into it for our health, we can be guided to decisions that have major impact. Like if they're proving that hidden food sensitivities can stimulate the immune system enough to cause chronic inflammation, which causes a whole host of problems, including cancer. They're proving that mold mold exposure in our environment. So many buildings are mold damaged. If we had our intuition active, we might think, something doesn't feel right, or something doesn't smell right. I need to look into that. All of these little feedback measures, if we
Hmm.
had a method of tuning into our body and listening, we could hear guidance about what could be causing imbalance in our lives. What could be behind my chronic anxiety? What could be behind my tension headaches? What could be behind my inability to sleep? That in turn could prevent significant major chronic illness later.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So what do you mean by everyday intuition?
So, how often have you ever? Let's do that. Let's play this game, and listeners can chime in too.
Okay.
Have you ever been backing out of your house, in your car, out of your home, or away from your home, and you instantly remember you're forgetting something? I mean, it happens to me fairly regularly. Oh, I forgot. I've got to grab that. That's your
Well,
intuition. Your brain didn't do that.
okay, right, right. So I'm with you. Okay, go on. You got more to say on this. I feel
Okay.
it. I feel it. I intuit it.
So we could play that game with, have you ever thought of a family member and they suddenly call you?
Right,
Okay, that's our intuition also. So there are many facets where our intuition shows up. We just don't even realize it's intuition.
right, right. Yeah, and whether we call it intuition or remembering or sensing or knowing, I mean, I hear at the bottom of all of this is the possibility that we can be empowered to understand and take care of ourselves in a way that most of us have grown up not believing. We've been conditioned to believe that we need some dude in a lab coat with a stethoscope to tell us what to do or not to do, if we're okay or if we're not okay. Um,
Yeah,
so,
that's
but
true.
I've heard you. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I got 20 questions. They're all coming at once. You go. You were about to say something.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I agree with you 100%.
Okay. Well, so I'm wondering,
Fire away.
you you come into this world from a medical background, right? Or you have some kind of medical background, and I described it earlier. You've got feet in both worlds, so to speak. Um, how have you been informed? Like what got you to this place where you're seeing all these different aspects of the medical and health world that we have?
Yeah. So my father was a surgeon, and I grew up making rounds with him in the hospital. It was very common for us to be making rounds with him and hanging out in the doctor's lounge. And so I had a lot of exposure to medicine growing up. I have many, many doctors and nurses in the family. I myself was a certified nursing assistant, helped my dad in surgery and in his office in my younger years. And that was the world that I grew up in. There was a pill for everything. If you didn't feel good, you took a pill and it made you feel better. And my health crashed during my first pregnancy. And when I relied on that system for answers, they didn't have any. I was told there's nothing you can do other than avoid the 90% of foods that are causing you symptoms. And that didn't feel very sustainable. So it was at that point where I had a choice. I could either live with the dysfunction that was very severe and affecting every moment of my life, or I could look outside that system for answers. And that's what I chose to do.
Hmm.
So I started consuming any kind of natural healing, anything that might hold promise and information of progress.
Hmm.
And so that's how and that was in my 30s. It was not, people ask me, have you always been intuitive? Absolutely not. I have 2 engineering degrees, very analytical and quantitative and thought oriented. So at this point in my 30s, though, I had to start relying on some different systems. And that's really what pulled me into considering different aspects of healing. And energy medicine is what finally propelled us forward. And that's why I became so passionate about,
Hmm.
about learning it, using it, and then, of course, sharing it.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, cool. Well, and I have several friends that grew up in medical families in one way and then reached an impasse in some way in their own health, and were able to take that background and bring it into something else. And I love that. Um, so so you published a book this year. You got a book published just this year that, if I'm understanding right, is in many ways very practical, as you are, the former engineer, very practical, right? So what compelled you to write the book, and what can it do for people? The hidden force within. Let's start there. What's this hidden force?
The hidden force is our biofield. It's our energy field. It's energy that is coursing through every quantum particle of us that is really governing our health, our
Hmm.
balance, our state of being, and our health. And if we understand that and we learn how we can actually work with our energy in very simple ways, you mentioned breathing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Breathing is an amazing way to work with your energy and your nervous system and the rest of your body to really um, calm your biometrics. You look at the Heart Math Institute, they've done some
Hmm.
amazing work with feedback, being able to use some kind of measuring tool to gauge your nervous system state at any given moment by looking at your heart rate. And now we use that benefit with my little aura ring here. You can wear something now, yeah, that gives you feedback on the state of your nervous system and how that's affecting your body. It's amazing, right? So, but under all that is energy, and our energy system governs the health of our body. So, my intention with this book was to help people learn that in a very practical, grounded way. What is energy in the body? How does it affect our health? And how can we leverage it to get healthy when nothing else is working? Because, in my experience, if you've been through a battery of tests, if your doctor has checked everything they know to check and they can't find something wrong, it's energy. And that's where energy shines is helping someone heal who's in that state, or someone who can't who isn't able to tolerate or is not responding to treatment. That's the other time energy really shines.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, and you mentioned Einstein earlier, and as you're speaking just then, I think of that great thing he said, that you can't solve a problem by the same level of consciousness that created it. And we're talking about energy, though consciousness is potentially another word for that, right? And in quantum physics, it's there's a field, a matrix, there's this underlying form, energetic underneath everything in the material. So part of the way I look at it, and tell me if this makes sense from your perspective, is if we've got a consciousness or a series of thought forms going, I'm broken, I'm not going to heal, this isn't going to work for me, no matter what physical medicines or treatments we do, it's probably not going to be very helpful. Does that make sense?
That's 100% accurate. And the inverse is true. If we really believe something is going to work, just about anything could probably work. So that's the placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
So, well, it's not quite the placebo effect, but if we believe something will work, it can be extremely effective, even if it's very simple. And that's what we find, right? We find people healing from stage 4 metastatic cancer. What did they do? And I love Kelly Turner's work with radical remission. She actually studied these people
Hmm.
and found
Hmm.
out what are they doing to be able to achieve that level of healing.
Hmm.
And it's a wonderful read if you or anyone you know has cancer. It's a great read, but it's very empowering.
Hmm.
Energy is a part of that.
Okay, cool. Well, and you've spoken about even untreatable diagnoses, right? Things that are called untreatable. Um, and I'd love to learn from you on this because for me, just my own intuition, anytime somebody says, well, this is the way it is, or this is what I've got, I immediately go to, well, for now, yet there's anything can be changed, anything can be healed. And that's, sometimes, well, a lot of people don't believe that. So what's the real truth here?
So that is the real truth, but our system doesn't teach us that. Our
Yeah.
health education classes don't teach us that. Our doctor doesn't really believe that. Our medical system doesn't teach our doctors that. Uh, we don't learn it anywhere unless we're looking outside mainstream in our society. So, part of what we teach as energy healers is that we can change physiology by changing our energy.
Hmm.
And that is an educational process. Part of what I heal in my cancer patients is your diagnosis is not, it doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be owned by you. It doesn't have to be your identity. You
Hmm.
actually could supersede your diagnosis and it could become not true. And I've done that. We have flipped test results. I had someone who came to me who had the exact same pain he had when he had colon cancer. And he said, I've got 6 weeks before my scan. I want to change the results. I don't want it to be a recurrence. And that's what we did.
Hmm.
And so he was willing to make that shift, and we healed the energy that was remaining from the trauma of his prior treatment and diagnosis. And we did some deeper work, and it ended up not being a recurrence. And that's what's possible. We can actually change test result outcomes, we can change prognoses, and we can make things disappear in the body. We can improve infections that aren't responding to antibiotics.
Hmm.
Pandas, chronic strep, Lyme. We can heal these things even when they're not responding to antibiotics if we can shift the mindset and the energy in the body.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. So again, so many exciting things here. Part of what you do is you train people to do this work professionally, right? You train people to be medical intuitives, to be practitioners, so that they can support others, right? And also, part of
Correct.
what you do, if I understand right, is you help people that aren't necessarily wanting to be a practitioner or a healer to be able to be their own healer, right? To get better at understanding what's going on in themselves. And when you were speaking just now, I was thinking, well, that's awesome that y'all were able to change those test results in the 6 week time. But there's also a phenomena that happens sometimes where we energetically change, yet the physical can take time. Doesn't always, right? But it can take time because it's the artifact, right? Our physical is the artifact of our spiritual or our energetic. And my sense is that oftentimes people they see some kind of result or they get a test that's saying, well, this is where I was before, and then they lose heart, like, oh, it's not working. So there's a long way of me asking, how can you help people that are listening or watching to be more in touch with themselves, to be better at understanding what's going on, and to create the changes they want, even if they're not seeing the results right away.
Yeah, that's a great topic, and it's something that I've been sitting with. I believe our healing response is only metered by our capacity for change. Okay. If we have a really high capacity for change, spontaneous healing is possible. We've
Mm,
seen it, it's been documented.
yeah.
Spontaneous healing is possible, but our human mind limits that by not believing that it's possible. And so, if we can check our beliefs and keep ourselves out of our mind and keep ourselves present and being in the moment instead of living in the world of thought, because our thoughts usually limit us. They're not usually positive thoughts. I mean, if you're in the minority, you're having a lot of positive thoughts. They say that 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, uh, like 80% are the same as the day before, and 90% of them are negative. Or I might have the flips there. It might be 90% are the same as the day before, and 80% are negative. Most of them are negative. And a lot of them we don't even know about. So the mind is a dangerous place to live. We want to try and stay out of the mind. So if we can stay out of the mind, stay present, and be open to possibility and maximize our ability to embrace change, I think we can amp up how fast our body can shift, how fast things can heal. So
Mm,
that's one thing.
mm, mm,
Um, And then what we can do is nurture those things. We can nurture being present. We can nurture being aware of our thoughts.
mm.
We can nurture moments that calm our nervous system and allow us to be present, like going on a hike, doing some deep breathing, doing some gratitude journaling. All of these things positively shift our mindset. And I know they sound so simple, but they completely rewire your brain in 6 weeks. It's proven in research. Your neurotransmitters are going to be different after you do those activities for a few weeks. So these things have a really big bang for the buck, so to speak, in that they are truly helping you be more present and be more positive so that your body can shift more quickly.
I love it. That's beautiful. And it's so empowering when we realize how much we can do. You said, I don't forget what you said. Bang for the buck, right? This so like breathing alone, which right now still it's breath is free. It's unregulated by the government. We still have autonomy on it, right? It's phenomenal what we can do with some of these things that and they seem so small and simple, yet they really are so powerful. And and as you were reminding us of those stats about the negativity and repetition of of our minds, typically it's a wonder that we're alive at all when you think about it. Um, so if we can
It's true.
harness our thoughts, and we can, right, and practice some of these things, well, so how does it work for the people that you train? What do they? How do you teach them to be more intuitive and to be practitioners? And what changes for them in their lives as they learn these things?
I think it's really what changes for them is empowerment. And that's
Mm,
really what I want to bring. I want to bring everyone freedom and empowerment. Health empowerment is really my mantra. Yeah, my passion.
yeah.
Because we do have so much say in our health, we just don't realize it. And when medicine isn't working, or medicine gives us side effects that we're unwilling to tolerate, or the countless other examples that come across my door, we have power to change that. So I think it really does empower people to know they can actually tune into their body and ask, what do you need right now? Like
Mm,
that's my that's my favorite thing. What do you need right now? Do you need rest? Do you need exercise? Do you need a different type of food? Do you need a supplement? Do you need a medication? Like what do you need? Do you need to go to the doctor? You know, we need to be able to ask those things to know what our body needs. And when we can do that, it's so empowering because we cut through confusion
mm,
and we have clarity instead. And the beautiful side effect of actually being a consumer of energy medicine and biofield therapy is that that is happening. Your mind gets clearer and clearer and clearer, and your intuition gets clearer as your mind calms. So that's a beautiful side effect of the work.
I love it. That's beautiful. And I certainly testify about that from my own experience growing up as a fat, sick kid, right? A big part of my own evolution was physically getting intuitive, physically getting empowered and realizing, yeah, I get to create my future. I remember 30 years ago, somebody gave me a cassette tape called Dead Doctors Don't Lie, right? And I don't even remember where it came from, but it was about the statistics in the medical field and how many medical experts are not very healthy, right? And I'm not
Mm,
like putting down the medical field or people that work in that way because there's of course there's a whole huge range and it's always I think or most of the time coming from a good place. um, though I love your mission of empowering people and helping people to yeah to know that they are sovereign, to get our power back. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so time is moving along here. Sarah, what haven't I asked you about that you would like to bring forward, if anything?
oh gosh, we've covered so much ground.
Absolutely.
I think it's worth mentioning that I personally see the future as an integrative future for our healthcare. I think it's important that we remember that medicine does have a place at times in our healing, especially if you have a head injury, if you broke a bone, if you're bleeding, you have a life threatening infection. Medicine's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so we definitely want to honor what it can bring to us. And then we want to really understand that if we have a chronic condition, medicine isn't always understanding of some of the contributors to those illnesses.
Hmm.
And so we really need to look outside the box and integrate both, know when to lean on one or the other. And I think that's where we, as mind body practitioners, that's where we're going to get leverage is by working together. And I foresee, like, my dream is to see a time where doctors can understand the mind body impacts of disease. And when they're relevant, they can actually use tools or refer someone who has tools that they trust. And that would be pretty amazing if we could combine both the best of both worlds. And I think we would then treat the whole person and we would get to the root cause rather than just treating symptoms. We're on a treadmill of treating symptoms right now in our medical system. And honestly, doctors are just as frustrated as patients. They really don't have any answers. So it would be wonderful to take the best of both worlds. And I think that that would just be so advancing for human health.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you. And I think you got to a solution to a problem that's often there, which is these two worlds uh, insulting the other or dismissing the other. Because
Mhm.
yeah, if I hit my head in a car accident, as much as I love aromatherapy, I want to find out if I have a head injury. So there's benefits and balance to both, and that's the human evolution, right? Like we're smart enough now to say, yeah, I can use this for this and this for this, and how can we bring all these together? So I love that
Yeah.
you are crusading for this. I love that you're empowering people. So how can listeners and viewers, how can they tune in more to what you are doing?
Well, the easiest way is to hop on over to my website, rayzenenergy.com, and get on my mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter where I share my view of the world, I share practical tools and tips. I do a monthly mini where I try to educate and help people have an experience.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of tools and information that I share. So come and join me. Join the conversation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And your book, how do people get that?
The Hidden Force Within, you can Google it or ask Ask Chat or however you get your information these days. And most major booksellers online have it. And it's also on Audible if you have any Audible credits
Hmm.
lurking around. So it is read by the author. So you'll hear my voice delivering it. And there is a healing session inside of it. So that was fun to record. But
Oh,
anyway,
cool.
it is available.
That's great. It's great. And I love when I listen to a book that is read by the author. So I took that to mean that for my last book, I needed to do the same. So I applaud you. I appreciate that you did that as well. And if I'm remembering correctly, you also have a free gift for our audience. Is that true?
That is true. I have a 10-minute Stress Less Mini. So it's a 10-minute audio that will actually decrease your cortisol levels. It will balance your nervous system. It will calm your stress axis in just 10 minutes of just listening through energy and mind body balancing. You can grab that on my webpage, RayZenEnergy.com.
That's fantastic. I love that. And that's something I'm going to grab that myself because it's something I do often as I get cranking through the day and things just start to accumulate and I really get in that beta brain wave and I got to do more and do this and that, and then if I can just remind myself to take 10 minutes and lie down or, put earphones on music, but having you guide something that is intentional with that, that's gold. That's fantastic. Thank you. Um,
Yeah, you're welcome. It's fun.
cool. Okay. And then, so in case anybody's listening and not watching, RayZen is RayZen. And you said rayzen.com, correct?
RayZenEnergy.com.
RayZenEnergy.com. Thank you. I'm glad I double checked that. And so, Sarah, I believe that brings us up to the last question, the big question. It's so big, it's impossible, and it's so impossible you can't mess it up. Can I ask
Oh,
you the
good.
big question?
Sure.
Okay, so lots of hype because sincerely though, you've got a tremendous amount of experience. And I am now asking you to distill your knowledge, your experience into just one. If you had just one thing to share with our audience to help them live their most vibrant, thriving life, what's the one thing that you share?
You have way more power than you think you do, especially over your health. Trust your gut.
I love that. Thank you. What a beautiful message for all of us to get. We have so much more power. I'm 100% with you. We are sovereign, we are infinite, and the more we know that, the more joyous and thriving is life. So, Sarah, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your courage in bringing this kind of work out into the world and doing it in such a grounded, intelligent, and dedicated way. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lots of fun chatting.
Yay! Awesome. I'm delighted. All right. And for y'all in our audience, thank you for not just being interested in a more vibrant, thriving life. That's cool, right? And getting some information is awesome. You're doing something about it showing up here, and that makes a difference in the world. That changes the world. So I love that you're doing that. Thank you for being with us. Come again soon. I love you. Aloha. Mahalo for tuning in to the Art of Vibrant Living show, y'all. I'm Daniel Aaron, and may you live with great vibrancy.